Good morning. Welcome back to the cloud computing tutorial. In this session, we are going to see best practices related to the cloud computing. So when we are moving to the cloud solution, when we are thinking about the physical infrastructure, what we are running is not sufficient to meet our application. So we may think about the solution for our infrastructure is moving our infrastructure to the cloud. So when we are taking the decision to move to the cloud, so the cloud must ensure the optimal experience while paying less than the colossal price, that is high price. So initially this will begin with the analysis and the selection of vendor, and it continues with the day-to-day usage of the service what we are using. Next, finding the right vendor. So the previously we have talked about the benefits of cloud computing, and those benefits are always true. So using the cloud model is generally very cheap than buying and maintaining our own physical infrastructure. But it doesn't mean that it is cheap, that is the cloud is always cheap. It is not always true. So the prices reaching as high as example $300 per user each month. So it is essential to carefully considering our options. So let us take the few questions while finding the right vendor for our application. The first question is, does the provider offer the level of support you need? That is, whatever the support we require when we are moving to the cloud, that level of support is offered by the service provider or not up to the mark. Second question, are they easy to work with? So are they feeling the comfortable for your application? We may expect some level of support as well as the good environment. So are they easy to work with users? Third question, will the cost be manageable for your budget? So whatever the budget you are planning, will you finish your work within the available budget of yours? Next question is, what is their support quality like? So how much support are they offering to the users? Next one, do they have strong track record for uptime and reliability? So whatever the service provider we are choosing, are they have the good track record of uptime as well as reliability of application? Next, can they provide references from the other customers? So this question is like reviews of the customers previously the services are benefited from the service provider. So these are the questions we have to pose when we are finding the right vendor for our application usage. So these factors will decide if the provider is right fit for our application needs. So before moving our applications to the cloud, we have to check these questions for the selecting the right vendor. So in addition to the previous one, there are the lot of issues we have to bear. So let us look closely those issues. First one is read the fine print. Read the fine print. So instead of doing the signature blindly on the agreement, so please go through the each and every point related to the agreement what you are signing on the bond which are provided by the service provider. The reason is once you put the signature on the bond, so they will talk about the rules and regulations. So for example, they limit on the number of users. Sometimes the vendors allow only a small number of users, and if your business grows, so they will add the few more charges to your organization. Even though you are agreed on the bond, they will charge to the additional users, adding additional users. So limit will be there. So we have to go through that rules and regulations. So this case is especially related to the small business, risk for the small business. So they need not to go through the each and every point related to the agreement. So they will keep the signatures on the agreement. They initially they don't have the more users. So once their business grows on, the users are keep on adding, and they will talk about the limitations of the users. So we have to go through the each and every point. So that is the meaning of the read the fine print. And you have to check the monthly charges in the agreement also. So initially they will charge less. Once the months or days goes on, their monthly cost can skyrocket, sometimes 5 or 6 times than the original price. Coming to the second issue, performance. So the important key issue related to this cloud environment is reliability of the cloud service and what level of the service you are comfortable with that. So whatever the services they are offering, are they providing the reliability of the services, or are you feeling comfortable with their services? So it is important to have a service level agreement between the user and the service provider. So that is the responsibility of the user to take care about the service level agreement. For example, so if you talk about the Amazon Web Services, Amazon guarantees that 99.5% uptime. So it means that less than 4.5 hours, 4.5 hours downtime in an entire year. That is over a 365 days, only 4.5 hours of downtime of the service will be, your service will be downtime. The rest of the duration will be, the service will be available. So this help you know what to expect in terms of the service reliability. And also we should ensure that their past performance, like their uptime percentage, also we have to look it. Coming to the next issue, spread your services. So we must look for the vendors offers. We must look for the other service vendors also. So instead of depending on one service provider, we must look for the other service provider. For example, if we keep one server on Amazon and one server on Azure, if one server in Amazon goes down or the service is unavailable, the other server what we keep in the other service provider like Azure, this will take care our services. So and we still have the backup from the other servers. That is the spread your services. Look for the other service providers. So don't go with only one service provider, and also look for the other service providers, what they are offering to the users, what are their prices and what are their services. Are the services offering by one service provider is different from the other service provider, and which service provider will offer the less prices. So you think on all these parameters. Next, coming to the data issue. So some vendors here make it difficult to export data only in a specific format. So some vendors will offer downloading and uploading data in a specific format. So this leads to the complications while uploading data and downloading data. So be aware of during the trial period. So they will offer the data in all format. Once the trial period is over, the users are allowed to download and upload data in only specific format. So make sure that the service is available in all specific formats, including the trial period and after the trial period also. Next issue is data flow. So to automate our process, we need to set up the rules and how data flows in an organization. So these setuping rules will manage where data goes and who has the permissions to read it, view it and download it. So this ultimately increases the security of our data. Be sure to get the clear price for setting these workflow rules, real-time alerts and adjusting our user access to read the data and view the data, and roles to keep your data safe. So this will help our plan for the cost and work involved in these customizations. So these are the various issues we have to keep in mind when we are moving our applications to the cloud. Next one is phased in versus flash cut approaches. So first we'll find the meaning of phased in, flash cut approaches. So phased in approach, the changes are to be done in a periodical, that is one after another. So if we perform change, if everything is okay, we'll ready to do the change in the next level. Whereas in flash cut approaches, the changes are happening suddenly. For example, suppose you are running one software company, you are ready to change all department at a time. So this approach we called as a flash cut approach. So in the same environment, you are ready to change the department one by one. So this approach comes under phased in approach. So in phased in approach, the changes are done one after another. So if anything goes wrong with, we can easily recover. So whereas in flash cut approach, high risk is there. So we cannot get back to the previous. Let us discuss about this phased in and flash cut approach related to the cloud computing. So generally, IT administrator like to keep control of their systems. So they are not ready to give the control to the others. So this is the big challenge. They are willing to give up some physical control over their system. They don't need move everything to the cloud. So it is best to take the step-by-step approach rather than moving everything at once. For example, if the server is not working well and it is close to failing state, so is that handled by the cloud service instead? That is, whatever the services are running by the server, those services are available in the cloud, Let us check clearly. If the cloud service is there, we can move one service at a time. So this way we avoid buying new server and we can start using the cloud in such a way that it feels more manageable. So look at the diagram. The first diagram is related to the phased in approach. Second diagram is related to the flash cut approach. In first diagram, here first we are checking one service is available in the cloud or not. If the service is available, we will move this entire application to the cloud. So if the application is running properly in the cloud and we are ready to move the second application also. Likewise the third application. Whereas in the flash cut approach, at the same time we are moving these three applications directly to the cloud. So if something goes wrong with these cloud or these services are not running in the cloud, this entire environment will collapse. So moving services to the cloud as needed rather than moving everything to the as a massive. Next concept is be creative in your approach. So as a cloud service, generally we use it in certain way, doesn't mean you can use it in creatively. For example, Amazon S3, it is used for storing server data, and we can also use this service for backupping of our data. So creative in your approach. Instead of focusing the particular service in only one application usage, let us use that service in another different way. As I mentioned, S3 we use simple storage service we use for storing our data or the server data, and at the same time we use this S3 for maintaining the backup of our data as well. So if our business has busy times, for example, like the festival, during the festivals, Christmas or Dasra or the New Year's, cloud can help handle these extra demands. So scale up, scale down facility will be provided by default. So instead of buying the more servers, we can use this cloud computing to add capacity as per the demand of the application. So the ready-made cloud instances are there. These ready-made cloud instances will take care about the application demand, which in turn adds the resources whenever we need them. The next one is how cloud computing might evolve. So generally people are going to be criticized cloud computing, saying it is the overused buzzwords without knowing to the actual meaning of the cloud computing. So cloud computing will be useful in many different areas, but who knows the actual meaning of the cloud computing? That is the professionals. Many professionals says that the cloud is not only useful but also something the constantly growing and evolving. So in fact we are moving to the next phase of cloud, that is the cloud 2.0. As the cloud computing advances, we also adapt to those changes. So as we are now currently in cloud 1.0, the cloud is continuously growing and evolving, and we may move to the next approach, that is the cloud 2.0. So we have to adapt to the changes of the next advances, that is the cloud 2.0 advances. So we have to ready to adapt to the changes. So let us see the possible future directions for cloud technology, and we can see the predictions from the experts, what the experts are saying and what are the predictions that they are expecting from the cloud. So that we'll see in the next session. Thank you.